Hey everybody, it's Aaron again, and today I am here with a new series. This is a series I have been intending on doing for quite some time, and I finally got the motivation, I guess, to do it. As you can see, we are playing Pokemon Red, and if you read the title card, we are doing a Nuzlocke challenge. This is my first Nuzlocke challenge. I figured I'd record it for posterity's sake or whatever. You'll notice I left the battle on shift here, which is not necessarily normal for Nuzlocke, I guess. If you look around online for stuff about the Nuzlocke challenge, you can find a lot of information. A lot of it is kind of That's not true. A lot of it is kind of a base-by-basis thing. The two major rules are: one, when a Pokemon faints, it is considered dead. You must release it, or put it, an alternate rule is you can put it in a different PC box, or whatever. There's any number of other things you can do. The second rule is you can only catch the first Pokemon you encounter in a route. This usually includes, I mean, there's variations to this rule that you can do so that you don't have to worry about duplicates and stuff. Personally, I am going to go ahead and I'm just going with the straight rule on that, and so the first Pokemon is the only one I can catch on that route, period. I do not start that, however, until after we get Pokeballs here. The other thing I wanted to mention about this real quick is that I am recording the audio after I've recorded the video. I'm mainly doing that in this one so that we can actually have the sound, for one thing, because I am emulating this. The other problem I run into is, well, when I try to emulate it and record the sound at the same time, I can't have any of the volume on as it overrides my audio something fierce. So in this case, we're not doing that. So here we've got Professor Oak. This is the original Pokemon Red, this isn't Fire Red. I decided that if I was going to do a Nuzlocke, we were going to do it old school. I realized that the first Nuzlocke was apparently for a Pokemon Ruby run, but I'm going back to the very first Pokemon game I ever played. And because of that, I chose to pick the very first Pokemon I ever played with. I do apologize as some of the audio when I'm emulating this gets funky, some of the music audio. If you can hear it really bad, that's what's going on there. So this episode is about 20 minutes long. To be honest, this is going to be the only one that's going to be that long. I've kind of decided I'm going to keep the other chunks of this down to about 10 minutes, probably. I have kind of goals that I try to accomplish in each episode. I.e., like, get through Viridian Forest, or beat Brock, and get to Mount Moon, or whatever. I'm also going to... I do record all of it, but you'll find that I grind Pokemon levels here at certain points. I'm not trying to grind so that I am so overwhelmingly above what's going on. I do record all of it in case something bad happens, in which case you guys will see it, but otherwise I cut it out, and I tend to do it at the end of episodes. So I'm not gonna lie, the other reason why I picked Bulbasaur for this is he's the easiest starter to go with. Being that you can beat Brock with him easily once you get Vine Whip, and Misty isn't too bad either. Misty can still be challenging, but... this is the first episode in this series. I've recorded a couple hours worth of work at this point already, and I'll probably continue to do that for this, because it's easier for me to get 2 hours one day and record a bunch. So that's how this series will be done primarily, and I will be doing the voiceover afterwards like I am right now. Charmander versus Bulbasaur. Man, what a nostalgia trip this is. Like, it's crazy to see all the old sprites and stuff. I know I started a Pokemon Yellow playthrough a long time ago. I kind of gave up on that because I had some grand scheme for stuff, and I rethought it and decided not to bother. And about the time that I was putting that up was the time Nintendo was going all against YouTube people, so I decided to play it safe. At this point, I decided I don't really give a shit. Had to use my potion here. I'm so disappointed with myself. The legendary potion in the PC box. This really, to be honest, this was one of the most annoying starter fights I've had in a long time because of the immense amount of growling, and it really got to the point where I was literally doing 1 hit point of damage. He could have owned me so hard at this point normally. If he would have just kept attacking instead of fucking growling all the time, but so be it. One of the other things I forgot to mention, when I was talking about the route rules, I'm trying to keep each route correct, so like I will only catch a Pokemon on a new route. However, in things like the caves and like Mount Moon and Rock Tunnel and stuff, I decided that I'm going to count each floor as a separate route, basically. Mainly because when you go into those caves, you know, you run into a crapload of Zubat and shit, and to try and give myself a chance at something else, I decided I was going to do that. And so, we'll see here in a couple episodes, we'll end up at Mount Moon, and I did that there. And so I actually ended up getting something other than a damn Zubat. Something else you might see on occasion, is that since I am emulating this, I have the ability to speed up things. I try not to speed up much for the video that I'm actually showing you guys. I try to go through it at normal speed, but I tend to speed stuff up when I am what I consider done recording, even though I continue to record. And you might see it at times. I do pretty good here at the beginning of this series, but it gets worse as time goes on. I do use it on when you get into those stupid Metapod and Kakuna-based fights, because holy crap, those take forever. So, the Nuzlocke challenge. There's all kinds of other rules. One of the other, so we've got there's the two rules that are for sure Nuzlocke rules. The first one is the death upon fainting, and the second is only catching the first Pokemon in a route. There's a plethora of other rules you can add, things like no Pokemon Centers, or you can only use Pokemon Centers, or you can only use a Pokemon Center once when you show up on a route. Things like that. I'm not using any of those. I'm kind of going with the understood third rule of Nuzlocke Challenge, which is that you nickname all of your Pokemon. But I'll be honest, I usually nickname all of my Pokemon that I use anyhow. Because that's just what I do. I can tell you that stems from the first N64 Pokemon Stadium games. Because in those, if you nicknamed your Pokemon when you brought them over using the transfer pack thing and played, they would be different colored. So that like you could get a black Charizard before shinies existed type thing. And so that really got me into doing it, and I just have continued to do so. So let's talk about the general purpose of a Nuzlocke. It's to make things harder, and it is going to be harder. You'll see. You underestimate. I guess it's easy, or I should say, it's easy to underestimate when you don't know. You know, when you're not restricted, it's easy to underestimate how much being restricted on what Pokemon you can get can be. For example, there is no guarantee, since I picked Bulbasaur, there is no guarantee I'll easily get a Fire-type Pokemon in this playthrough, or a Water-type Pokemon, because they are generally rarer, and I only get one chance per route type of thing. So it really forces you to have to use workarounds for different things. Same thing goes for, like, I am generally a huge, like, rock-type, ground-type user, like Geodude. You know, there's no guarantee I'll get a Geodude or any ground-type Pokemon. past a Diglett, and that's provided that when I go into Diglett's cave, I don't run into a Doug Trio the first time I go in there and get totally owned by a level 31 Doug Trio. Of course, if I end up catching it, great. This will probably be the only time you watch me play Pokemon videos where I'll actually catch, if it's the first Pokemon I see, I'll actually catch evolved Pokemon. I like to evolve Pokemon myself. It's just something I've always, like, comes from when I first started playing the game. So, I apologize, this video is longer because I wanted to get past all this, kind of the starter BS where, you know, there's 20 minutes of you running around like a moron. So I don't have any Pokeballs yet. Because in the first games they didn't give you Pokeballs. Stop to grab a town map. From the rival sister. Even though he said that he was going to tell her not to give you one. He's a douche. So you'll see here I encounter... what is it that I encounter? Rattata? I encounter a Rattata, and so I actually have to check my bag because I wasn't paying attention. Yeah, see there, I just checked my bag to see if I had any Pokeballs, which I don't, so I'm not counting this yet. As soon as I get to Viridian City here again, I can grab some Pokeballs, and that's when we'll start counting. This video will end... The goal of this video that I had is I wanted to get through the starting stuff, and then I wanted to catch Pokemon for the first 3 routes that you can hit. Route 1, I think this is Route 1, and it doesn't matter. This route, there's a route to the west that leads into the Elite Four of Viridian City, and then the one to the north, yeah, that's Route 2, I believe, that has Viridian Forest in it. I wanted to hit the three Pokemon that I could possibly get in those areas, so that's what I do. Finally get back to town. I'm not sure why I decided not to go to the Pokemon Center there. Probably didn't think I needed it. So, I ran away from the Pidgey, you notice, but I've been fighting the Rattata. And you'll see this when I start actually fighting the Pidgey and stuff. Pidgey in the old games, and probably still true, they had Gust as a level 1 move, and Gust was normal type. It was not flying type, so it wasn't super effective against grass or anything. But man, Pidgey could just deal out the freaking damage. If you were within like 3 levels of them, each Gust would deal like 5 points of damage to you. Which is a lot of damage to have to deal with when you're running around, you know, with level 1 Pokemon. My bag OCD. I'm not used to... I kind of forgot how bad the bag is in the old games. And so I'm not used to it. I'm trying to keep everything straight and try and keep it empty, because you can run out of bag space in these older games. Which is something I'm glad they did away with in the newer ones, but... I could see that not being a super popular idea. But so here's the first Pokemon I have a chance to catch. That is Rattata. I started talking about the Nuzlocke. I get so distracted, I apologize. The other thing was, the thing about the Nuzlocke that makes things more challenging, but it's also supposed to make you have closer bonds, like maybe it's more of a side effect of Nuzlocke. The guy who originally did the Nuzlocke challenge, who created it basically, he calls it Pokemon Hard Mode, but anyway, you can find, I'll actually link to his website, because he's got webcomics of his adventures, and they're pretty entertaining. They're a little on the crude side, so if you're particularly young, stay away from them. But he discovered that he, as he played, he actually had a closer connection to his Pokemon, because you're concerned about them dying, because I mean you know, every time a Pokemon faints in this, it's the last time you'll ever be able to use them. That's pretty serious, really. And I can say, even from what I have played now of it, there is definitely some anxiety there, and I really do have to fight the urge to try and just straight out over level everything. To be honest, anything when I grind and level here, I'm only grinding to what like my standard is. I call it. It's similar to maybe like a standard opening in StarCraft or something like that. I kind of have a pattern that I follow with certain games in particular, and like the Fire Red games, I like to grind my Pokemon up to about level 10 before I even go into Viridian Forest. So here's the second Pokemon I have a chance to catch, and it ended up being a Nidoran female, and you have no idea how excited I was to see this. This is a chance for me to actually have a ground type Pokemon, at least in Nidoqueen. The question becomes, am I actually going to be able to catch it though? Because one misplaced critical hit in this game can just ruin your day in many ways. I do catch the Nidoran female. So far, we've got Bulbasaur, Rattata, and Nidoran female, and how awesome is that? I'm extremely psyched for the start that I had here. Like this could have been so much worse. An example would be running into 3 Rattata. I've at least got two different Pokemon. You'll also find, I generally am not going to catch the duplicates. I just won't be able to get anything for that route. Just because, I don't know, I'm just not a big fan of that thought, I guess. I like diversity. You'll also see that I am trying, and I will continue to try to make a balanced team as best I can, because I am a big advocate of that. So here you can check me checking out the routes, because I couldn't remember what was considered separate and what wasn't. So we can see the first route I was on was Route 1, this last one is like Route 22 or something. And then now we're on Route 2. 22. I was having problems here. But I was wanting to double check and make sure. And I will even go so far. I don't at this point, but I'll go so far as to like go online and find information. Because there's a small section of this route on the other side that I was concerned about. And it is also Route 2. So the third Pokemon I have a chance to catch is Pidgey. How awesome of a start could this be if I can catch this Pidgey? This Pidgey, once you get to about 3 to 4 levels above a Pidgey in this, then they only do 3 damage per hit, but it still stacks up very quickly. Also, welcome to the games where sand attack sucks even more than it does today, because you don't have abilities to get around it. You've seen plenty of that. So I caught Pidgey! Yay! I had an excellent start. Hands down, cannot complain. Best start probably ever. For a Nuzlocke. Just amazing. So I do have one quick comment here. This is a common name I use now for Pidgeys in particular, female Pidgeys. Midge. And it's actually homage to my buddy Gabe. Because he used to name his Pidgeys that all the time, and it really comes from one time I discovered that that's what he nicknamed them, and I kind of decided I liked it, so homage to you, buddy. And my ultimate Nuzlocke. So this is the first episode, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. The nerve-wracking stuff will get worse. I can tell you that already. I'm only a couple hours into it, and I'm already, got nervous wreck. But I'm going down here because I'm going to start grinding out some stuff. Nothing interesting happens in this grind session, so you won't be seeing that. But as always, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.